So you decided to take the plunge and participate in a Dynasty startup draft. Congratulations. This is probably, at least to me, the most entertaining, fun, engaging way of playing fantasy football. So buckle up. Today we're going to go over all of the tips and strategies that I have for you for a Dynasty startup to dominate your opponents, and all of that starts right now. So you're going to have to do a lot of this prep before the draft. So if you have a pencil, pad, paper, take some notes or make some mental notes, whatever you got to do to get this in your brain, especially if you are a first-time Dynasty player. The most important thing that you need to do is review the settings of your league. Is it a super flex league? Meaning, are there two quarterbacks that you can start, or a super flex, which means you can play any position player there that you want. You want to play a quarterback. That gives you the biggest advantage. Is it tight end premium? What are the roster size? Like, how deep is this league? Can you roster 30 players? Can you roster just 20 like in the FFPC? Or is it a crazy league where you can roster 35, 40 plus players? Is there a taxi squad? What players are eligible for the taxi squad? What are the scoring settings? Is it PPR? Is it half PPR? Is it tiered PPR? How many players can you start? Is it 10? Is it 9? Is it 12? Is it 18? Just going over your league settings and getting those just burned into your brain, and then going to a website like Dynasty Data Lab is probably one of the bigger advantages that you can give yourself. Also, familiarizing yourself with the Dynasty rankings that you trust. Keep Trade Cut is a good barometer of the pulse of the community. Dynasty Data Lab has a great ADP tool. So doing both of those things, going over your settings and then going to a website like Keep Trade Cut or Dynasty Data Lab to see what's going on in the startup market, is a really great way to give yourself an edge. The next thing that I would recommend doing before the draft, there's that awkward time where you're invited to the draft and you're just sitting there, whether it's in the sleeper league chat, which is where most of you are probably going to do your Dynasty startups, or if it's in MFL, which a lot of people don't like. But regardless of where you are and where you're doing your Dynasty startups, there's always a DM feature, or there's a way to find contact information and email somebody if, we're living in 1998 or whatever. But there's a way to message league mates, and I would recommend getting in those DMs and messaging every single league mate. You want to introduce yourself in that message. You want to let them know that you're an active owner, that you are going to respond to their trade requests. The purpose of a message like that is to A, let them know that you're serious, and B, let them know that you're active, but also that you're a good person that this other league mate is going to want to interact with and participate with in trades. And if you do that, because not everybody's going to do that, they are going to think of you first, especially if you're on the clock, and that's going to increase your chances to gain as much possible value on your team that you can possibly get, which is the goal of any startup, but we'll get into that a little bit later. I would also do a mock draft on Sleeper. Sleeper has a great mock draft tool, or watch some mock drafts that are very, very close to the settings that your league is going to have. And while your goal should be to be flexible, because it should be, you need to formulate your ideal strategy. What does your team look like if you just hit everything that you want? Okay, is it going to be a productive struggle? Are you going to try to win right away? If you're a first-time Dynasty player, I would recommend more of a balanced approach. This is because that's the simplest way to do it. But watching videos like this, watching mock drafts, all of it can help you, but you need to stay flexible, right? You can have your ideal strategy, but in the startup room, you can very, very quickly realize that, oh, my strategy is flushed down the toilet because everybody's trying a productive struggle in this league, and it's going to be a lot harder for me to do a productive struggle if 7 other people or 8 other people or 9 other people are trying a productive struggle. So maybe I need to pivot. And that is the most challenging thing I can say right off the bat, is recognizing what the league's doing and being able to pivot to put yourself in the best possible position to gain as much value as possible. That is probably the most challenging part of a dynasty startup, but it's also why dynasty startups are the best. Now, let's get into what you should do during the draft. First of all, and I'm going to go on a rant here for a second. You might not like it. I can already hear the people in the comments going, "Oh, like this guy doesn't like, speed in drafts." But typically in a dynasty startup, there is what's called a slow clock, meaning you have X amount of time to make your pick. Typically, it's either 4 hours or 8 hours. I prefer 8 hours. And my tip here is don't be rushed off of that 8-hour clock for anybody. Now, you're going to have people in the chat saying things like, OTC, bro, hurry up. We've only gotten one round in today. Let's pick this thing up. We want to get this draft in. Don't listen to those people. And I will tell you why you shouldn't listen to those people. Because last time I checked, kickoff wasn't until September, right? It's June right now. Especially if you're starting a dynasty startup right now, it might feel like the draft will never end. But trust me, the draft is going to end, and it's going to end a lot quicker than you think. Typically, a dynasty startup can last 3 weeks. 3 to 4 weeks is typically, in my experience, the average length of a dynasty startup draft. They can go a lot faster than that. And the reason I'm telling you not to rush is because you have 8 hours, okay? And you also have a life. So you probably have a job, you might have kids. Who knows what can happen. That 8 hours is there for you to utilize in whatever way that you want. If life's in the way and you can't make a pick, that's totally fine. If you're trying to work on a trade deal, that's fine. You have 8 hours. These people that are in the chat trying to rush you along, don't listen to them. They get 8 hours too, and they probably wouldn't appreciate if they were in the middle of a trade deal or if their kids were sick, you telling them, hey, hurry your ass up because we have a draft, because the draft's going to get over with and you're going to have 2 months till kickoff. And that, I'm going to go right into this next point. The goal is to win, obviously, but the ultimate goal in a dynasty startup, and this is how you win, is to acquire as much value as possible while not putting yourself in a desperate situation. And I would argue that if you're acquiring as much value as possible, by definition, you're not putting yourself in a desperate situation. But for example, like if it's a super flex league, don't be without a quarterback. If it's a mandatory start 2 tight end league, you're probably going to have to value the tight end a little bit more, not a ton more, but a little bit more. At the very least, you're going to have 3 or 4 at least tight ends on your roster, maybe more, especially if it's tight end premium. Just remember, you don't have to start a lineup until September. Sexy lineups in June don't win championships. Let other dynasty managers post their wins, quote unquote W's, online right after the startup, their sexy lineup. Let other people do that, because these are the same people that are going to come begging you for one of your extra quarterbacks because you made the right value play in the startup. Acquiring as much value as possible, even though it might not seem like taking a 4th quarterback is a smart play. If the value play is the quarterback, take the quarterback. And I'm not opposed even to a mini mild version of a quarterback horde. I'm doing that in one league right now where Cam Ward was available in the rookie draft at the 106, and I was fine at quarterback. But guess what? I took Cam Ward because that was the value play. And some people get caught up on, oh, I have to, I need a wide receiver, I need a tight end. It's June. You don't need anything until September, whatever kickoff. Like, that's when we need to be worried about setting lineups. And there's a million ways to go about setting a lineup. And there are a ton of veterans out there that can be had for cheap. And that's typically how I try to fill in the holes of my more competitive teams, is by seeking out veterans. And that's what's so great about Dynasty, is that you can make these moves and you can make these trades. So not only is acquiring as much value as possible in the Dynasty startup the smart move, but it's also the most entertaining move, because guess what? If you have valuable players, if you have a ton of rookie picks, which, by the way, you need to acquire as many rookie picks in the Dynasty startup as possible as well, because it's the cheapest place to get the rookie picks. Guess what? If you have assets that people want, they're going to come to you for trades, and it's going to be a lot more entertaining than if you have all these crusty veterans that just lost all their value overnight because they turned 30 years old or they got hurt or whatever the case may be. The best place to put your dynasty quote unquote money is a lot of times is those rookie picks. Acquire as much value as possible, and remember that in dynasty things can change really quickly, so having those future picks is so important. You're also going to want to pay attention to what your league mates are doing, because if everybody is trying to win now, for example, it's going to be a lot harder to win now because you have 8 or 9 people drafting veteran players, maybe trading their rookie picks. So that's an example where you might pivot to a productive struggle so you can get as much value as possible. On the flip side of that, and in the draft rooms that I despise the most because I love doing a productive struggle, if everybody's doing a productive struggle, that is going to make it a lot harder to gain value drafting a productive struggle. So it might be better to consider another strategy. So just keep that in mind. It's also a good idea to keep the lines of communication open. You don't want to be a dick. Alienating yourself in Dynasty is a horrible way to succeed in Dynasty because you're limiting your trade partners and you're limiting your potential opportunities to acquire said value. You need to let the draft come to you. I know it's a cliche, but it's true. Let the draft come to you. Let the value come to you. I wouldn't recommend trading up a ton. Now, there are some scenarios where it is ideal to trade up, but more times than not, it's not a good idea to trade up in the Dynasty startup, and I wouldn't trade away your future first-round pick, rookie pick, if you can help it. If anything, I want to acquire as many rookie picks, not just first-round rookie picks, but second-round rookie picks, third-round rookie picks. I want to bank as much value as I possibly can, and rookie picks are maybe the best way to do that outside of acquiring youth and whatnot. After the draft, so the draft is completely done, we're entering the league year, you're going to want to grind the waiver wire, because even in Dynasty, you can find valuable players on the waiver wire. Just think about Brock Purdy, Darren Waller, that were drafted super late in the NFL draft and eventually became very, like Brock Purdy still is, an extremely good contributor in fantasy football. Kyron Williams is another good example of a running back that a lot of people wrote off, but look at him now. Isaiah Pacheco was a 7th-round pick. You get the idea. Grind the waiver wire in Dynasty, and don't be afraid to let go of somebody, especially a wide receiver that's further on down the depth chart. You're gonna make mistakes, but I would continually grind the back end of your roster to acquire players that you think have the most value. And to do that, you're going to want to stay tapped in with the latest NFL news, follow some sources that you trust on Twitter, set up your notifications accordingly, follow trusted sources. I would recommend, even if it's just as an exercise, develop your own dynasty rankings or use or find some rankings that you trust that are updated at least monthly. I like to do my own just as an exercise because and it's difficult for me because mostly I'm player agnostic. I mean, I've talked this whole video about acquiring as much value as possible. If I get players that I think are going to be more valuable in the future, as opposed to these players that I'm trading away, more times than not, I'm going to do that because I'm acquiring the most value in the deal. Rankings force me to put players on paper, and that's, the source of how you make those trades. So developing your own rankings is a really great exercise, even if you don't publish them anywhere. As we get closer to the season and into late August, that's when we need to be worried about setting a lineup. So if you need a running back, a wide receiver in August, late August, early September, that's the time to go get it. And I love going after veterans in order to fill those holes. And I love especially veterans, that aren't as expensive as other players. A player like Mike Evans or Alvin Kamara, a veteran that isn't going to cost me a ton, that may be a productive struggle team that needs to rebuild, is looking to get off their roster. That's the perfect trade candidate to go and plug those holes. And again, waiting as long as possible to do that is optimal, because the longer you have that veteran on your team, the more increased chance of a risk or of an injury risk is possible. For all those reasons and more, don't set a lineup until you don't need to until kickoff. So filling those roster holes, especially if you're going out and acquiring veterans, wait as long as you possibly can to do that. That is the video. Let me know some of your dynasty tips and strategies in the comments below. I would be very interested to read some of those. I seem to come across some new tidbits every year, and I love it. I love conversation around dynasty strategy, trades, startups, whatever. I love it all. Don't forget to click like if you liked it. Subscribe to the channel if you want more of it. Click the alarm bell until it goes ding to be notified when new content gets uploaded and published on the channel. That's going to do it for this video. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, be good, everybody, and we will see you later.